Digital Romance TV.
Hi, this is Claire Casey for Digital Romance TV, and today I'm talking about three big advantages, big potential advantages, or reasons why women might date a much older man. Now, let me give you a caveat before I begin. I'm not typically talking about women in their teens or 20s. When you're that young, you're still trying to figure out what you're doing, what you want, who you are. And so generally, I don't think about it that way. Instead, what I see is relationships between younger women, maybe in their early 30s, and men in their 40s sometimes, a bigger than a 10-year split, because most of the time we tend to date someone pretty close to our own age, maybe inside of 10 years. That's probably the majority. So I'm just curious what you think when you see a much younger man, a much younger woman with an older man. Maybe you think, oh, trophy wife, or midlife crisis, or daddy issues. And a lot of us do think those things. But there are three advantages that can be true of dating a much older man. Just because they are sometimes true doesn't mean they're always true or true about everyone. But these are three possible good things. The first one is about sexuality and sex drive, and the sciencey piece of that is that between the ages of 35 and 40 and then older, men's sex drive kind of evens out some, or smooths out, or slows down even from what it was when they were crazy teenagers or 20-year-olds. And actually, women's sex drive revs up at that same time. So it's like they're so out of balance sometimes when you're younger, but then it starts to even out a little. It's quite delightful. One of the good things about getting older. But in this case, it's also can be a very nice thing about dating an older man who's got that kind of figured out. And it's a little calmed down. And it allows for not being driven by those hormones and driven by that desire to, take a woman to bed. It allows for some maturity to come into play. Again, just because it may be true for some men does not mean it's true for all men. But when a man gets a little older, it does allow him to have gained a little bit of maturity, a little bit of experience. Maybe by now he knows that women appreciate good grooming, or a man who's responsible, or a man who treats a woman very well. Those things may not be as apparent to younger men, or men who are very focused on other things, the hormones that drive them, or other things in general. And the last one is the simple and maybe obvious to a lot of people, which is the financial situation. Very often, a man who is more established in his life and has his career going, perhaps, or has figured out what he's doing in his universe, he's financially more stable than a young man who's busy starting a brand new company and is desperately trying to get backers for it and is, pawning everything he owns to try and make it fly, or is just gonna, hang out and live in his parents' basement for a while. There are just some advantages. So before you completely write it off, it's worth at least being open to. There are advantages to dating a much older man, someone maybe more than 10 years older than you. Again, once you're out of your teens and 20s, that's a whole different ball game, isn't it? This has been Claire Casey for Digital Romance TV. Come and ask me a question over on my website at askclaircasey.com, and I'll talk to you again soon.
Did you know there's a 3-step formula to make a guy fall desperately in love with you? Go to digitalromance.tv/CHH to learn a simple method any woman can use to capture a man's heart and make him love you forever. Again, that link is digitalromance.tv/CHH.